You ever shoot something and immediately think, this doesn't make sense? Not bad, not broken, just too easy for something this cheap. That's where this started. Timer's running, guys lined up behind me, and this thing just keeps holding up. Not pretty, finish already wearing. Trigger nothing special. Every time I expect it to fall behind, it doesn't. Hits land, rhythm stays. Nothing special, just no reason to blame it. For a second, I figured I was just having a good run. Then the guy behind me looks over and goes, "What are you even shooting?" I told him. He laughed. Not because it was bad, because it shouldn't be keeping up like that. And yeah, that stuck. Some guns earn it with price, build, reputation. This one didn't. So this list, these are the best handguns going into 2026. Real use, real pressure. Most earned it. But one of them costs way too little to be making the rest uncomfortable. And when number 3 shows up, you'll see why. Run that again. Didn't even look up at first. Guy off to my right, watching too close. Cold morning, early this year. Wind cutting across the range. Steel still damp. CZ Shadow 2 compact. On the bench next to the compact. I actually trusted. I grabbed the CZ expecting one thing. Just nicer. Timer went off. First string felt off. Not bad. Just different. Gun settled faster than I expected. Sights came back early. I pushed harder. Same result. It didn't fight. Just stayed flat and cleaned up the mess. I usually leave when I rush. No way that's the same gun. Now I looked. Back at what was in my hand. Then over at what I'd been carrying for months. And that trusted gun felt unfinished. Not worse, just missing something I couldn't ignore. That part annoyed me, because this CZ doesn't feel like a compact trying to be premium. It feels like a serious pistol, squeezed smaller, but it doesn't carry like that. A couple hours later, walking off the line, the weight started digging in. Belt pulling, holster shifting, not easy to live with. Still, on the line, it changes what you expect from a compact, and I still don't know if that trade-off is worth it. Everywhere I went this year, this thing kept showing up. Not just range talk, actual buying decisions. Guys at the counter skipping over bigger names, grabbing the Hellcat Pro like it already proved something. That's when I started paying attention, because 2026 hasn't been kind to almost good carry guns. If something doesn't hold up in real use, people move on fast. No patience anymore. I still didn't buy the hype. Felt like one of those picks people repeat until it sounds true. So I carried it anyway. Couple weeks, in and out of the truck, long days, sitting more than I wanted, and yeah, it made sense fast. Size worked. Capacity didn't feel like a compromise. Didn't feel cheap either. That part earned its place. But then the small stuff started stacking. Recoil had that snap that never really settles. Grip felt fine early. Then hours later, you're adjusting it more than you should. Nothing major. Just enough to stay in your head. And that's where it gets tricky. Because 2026 buyers aren't chasing specs anymore. They're chasing what actually holds up day to day. And this, it keeps holding up, just not quietly. And right after this, something showed up that didn't just balance trade-offs. It ignored them. I showed up at my local range last month and almost laughed. Everybody had their usual polymer striker guns. Then this older guy walks in with a full-size Beretta, 92 FS, no optic, no light, just the classic black gun that looks like it stepped out of a 90s movie. Half the bay looked at him like he'd brought a brick to a knife fight. Then he started shooting. And that's when my brain short-circuited. I had already decided what I was looking at. Outdated, heavy, old-school brick that had no business next to modern pistols. I was ready for him to look slow and clumsy. Instead, the whole bay got quiet because the gun just worked. No drama, no fight. It looked like the guy had been shooting that same pistol for 20 years and never felt the need to upgrade. That's the part nobody wants to admit in 2026. The 92 FS is big. It's heavy. It prints under a t-shirt and will wear on your belt after a full day. It is not a carry gun for most people. But standing there, I realized I'd been judging the gun by the year it was designed instead of how it actually behaved. I spent years telling myself classics were outdated. That day made me feel stupid for ever saying it. It's still not the gun I want on my belt every day. But if the question is whether an old design can still embarrass modern pistols, the 92 FS answers pretty fast. You're late again. Didn't even get a hello. This last Tuesday, I walked into my usual spot up North San Antonio, already knowing what I was there for, and the guy behind the counter just pointed at the empty hooks. Nothing left. That told me more than any review ever could, because in 2026, people aren't arguing about carry guns like this. They're just buying the one that works and moving on. And this one, it became the default answer whether you like it or not. I didn't at first. Felt like hype doing what hype does, but then you actually run it, and that's where it flips. Capacity, like a compact. Size, still easy to live with. Doesn't shoot like a backup gun either. You get a full grip, clean break, and suddenly that hesitation, is this enough? Just isn't there anymore. And yeah, that's exactly why it pisses people off. Because once you get used to it, everything smaller starts feeling like a compromise you're forcing yourself to accept. That's the shift. This isn't comfort. It's not even impressive. It's just the one you stop questioning, but it's not free. Price climbs quick. That grip length still prints on the wrong day. And half the people chasing it seem more excited to own it than actually carry it. Still, when it matters, this is the one I don't think twice about. And right after this, something shows up that doesn't just belong somewhere else. It probably shouldn't be here at all. The first time this got uncomfortable, it wasn't because the gun was perfect. It was because somebody noticed. We were running a basic drill. Nothing fancy. Same distance, and the same timer. Same ugly range table full of guns that cost a lot more. I had the Taurus G3C out there almost as a joke. Cheap little thing. Finish already looking tired. Trigger nothing special. The kind of gun people judge before the first mag is even loaded. Then it started keeping up. Not winning clean. Not embarrassing everything on the table. Just hanging close enough that people stopped talking. Hits were there. Rhythm stayed. No drama. No excuse I could grab onto. Then the guy behind me asked, "What is that?" I told him. He laughed first. Then looked at the target again. That's the whole problem with the G3C. I'm not going to sit here and pretend Taurus doubt came from nowhere. It didn't. The trigger is average, the finish feels budget, and long-term trust is still the question that follows it around. But for what this thing costs, it has no business making better guns explain themselves. That's why number 3 should be banned. Not because it's the best made pistol here. It isn't. Because it gives regular people just enough gun, just enough capacity, and just enough performance to make half the expensive excuses sound weak. And after that kind of chaos, number 2 has to bring the list back to something serious. There are days I don't want to think about guns at all. No comparing, no second guessing, no, should I have grabbed the other one? Just something I can throw on and walk out the door without running a checklist in my head. That's when the M&P 2.0 compact ends up on me. Not because it's exciting, because it removes the argument. And in this year, that matters more than most people want to admit. I've had pistols that shoot flatter, look better, get more attention the second you set them down. But after enough long days, heat, sitting in the truck too long, in and out of places, you start noticing which ones quietly fall out of rotation. This one doesn't. That's why it's still here, while newer guns come and go. It's not the smallest, not the lightest, not the one people argue about online. Nothing about it feels special when you first pick it up. And that's exactly why it keeps beating more impressive guns over time. Grip does its job. Trigger does its job. It runs the same way every time without trying to impress you. No surprises, good or bad. I've tried to replace it more than once. Didn't stick. It just ends up back up my belt like it never left. Not perfect, not exciting, but in a year full of louder options, this is still one of the safest bets you can make. And once you get used to that kind of certainty, there's only one thing left that matters more than this. Last month, I got stopped outside a hardware store. Met up with a kid, maybe early 20s, walks up holding his phone like he's been researching all night and still can't land on anything. Asks me what handgun he should buy. I start doing what everyone does. Hand size, carry style, budget, trigger feel. Running him through the process. He cuts me off. Man, I just don't want to buy something I'll end up replacing. That changed it, because now it's not about what's good. It's about what holds up when everything else starts falling off. I ran through the list in my head, all of them. Every solid option comes with a sentence attached. Something you have to explain. Something that depends on preference, tolerance, or experience. Then the Glock 19 Gen 5 shows up, and the explanation gets real short. Not because it's perfect, because there's less to warn him about. Grip doesn't fit everyone. Trigger's nothing special. It's not exciting, not refined, not the one people brag about anymore. But it doesn't ask much from you either. And that matters more than people admit. It's the one I can recommend without quietly hoping he thinks like me, or shoots like me, or trains like me. It just works across too many situations to ignore. And somewhere along the way, that changed how I look at best. Because the more I think about it, the best gun might just be the one you run out of reasons to argue against. That moment at the range, it didn't fade. Different day, same gun, same problem. It wasn't the cleanest, it wasn't the smoothest, but it kept doing enough that the price stopped feeling like an excuse and started feeling like the whole argument. Everything else on this list had to earn it. Some took time, some fought back, a couple still irritate me. That one, it just kept showing up, and I get why people defend it. I really do. But it also throws everything off, because once something that cheap hangs in like that, every other price tag starts to feel a little shaky. So now I'm curious, what's one gun that made you question what you paid? I'm Steve, and yeah, that one still doesn't sit right with me.